don't forget the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, I mean the floor is yours. If it come down to the floor is yours, let me show you how I prove the floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another E&M podcast. We're live today with two guests we want to bring on. We got a series coming up. We're probably going to be running this probably about over 2 to 3 to 4 week time span, probably with as much as information we got. But as you know, I'm T. Will, the Superman of real estate. Got my man G for God, y'all. Remember that. And then I'm gonna let the other ladies introduce themselves. Go ahead, y'all.
You want to go first? You need me?
Okay. Hey, I'm Asha the Virgo. I am a certified credit coach and a great person. So let's talk.
Right on.
Right on.
Quick and easy. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
I'm Jay Shania. I've been in accounting and finance for about 20 plus years, and I'm ready to educate and motivate the people. Let's get it in.
Let's go. I like that introduction, short and straight to the point. Hey guys, well, I want y'all to kind of get your pens and pads because it's going to be a lot of information that we provide tonight, and it's going to be some good stuff that you can use. But we're going to start this off by just kind of sharing like the how to just get started with raising your scores, getting your scores up to an 800 credit score, and a lot of people think it's hard to do, but it's really not, because we talk about this. Me and G talk about this all the time. Just the little small things that you can do. Far as like we know that 35% accounts for a lot of your credit, far as your pay history. Those things right there, those simple things you can do. Taking one payment that you usually pay once a month, breaking it up in two, tricking the system to make it think it's two payments. So that's just another method to increase your scores. But we're gonna kick this thing off, and I first off, I want to ask one of the young ladies about. I know, Asha, you're like a credit coach, so I know you're very familiar with this. What about?
Well, don't put me on the spot. What if I'm not?
Well, yes, you are. I know you are. Well, tell me this. Give us some of the things, like just starting off on credit, that you recommend people do.
So, number one thing I recommend people do for credit is pay your bill on time or early, right? That's the number one thing that you can do. I couldn't stress that enough. I find it super problematic, right? That the first thing that you do when you start college is get a credit card, but they never tell you, hey, if you miss a payment, you're going to ruin your credit at 18 years old, right?
And that's the right word to use, Asha. You said you use ruin. Like it literally, one late payment can score, 40, 50 or more points?
Easy.
One late payment, easily.
Yeah.
Easily. So
pay
your bill.
And I know when we were developing the show, we were talking in the beginning. So that's what T. Will Superman was talking about. In the beginning, some of the first things, even before the payments, is managing right? And will y'all agree that that's one even more important than even before you even get developing credit? So I think that maybe that's a good place to start. What do you think, Superman?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because if you don't have the discipline to manage your finances, credit don't mean nothing anyway.
Right. Basically.
Absolutely. Because I mean, even when you talk about personal finance, you hear the term money mindset used a lot. And it's because it's so crucial to your financial status. Like, you can't assume that, oh, well, I make money, so everything else is going to be good because I have the money. But if you're not managing it right, you may as well not have the money. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you if you're in a situation and you have everything you need, right? All of your bills are paid. You got all your necessities. You got food, you got shelter, you got clean clothes, you got a car. That next dollar that hits your palm, what are you going to do with it? That's your money mindset. And that's where you have to start. So if you can
Was that a question?
I mean, if you want to answer it.
Yeah.
So I think it's before we go, because I know you talk about in that space, but like, what are you going to do with that next dollars when you're talking about the money mindset? And this is not to beat anybody up or control what people do. Superman say this all the time. He said he's going to live poor and die rich. So, and nobody wants to work just to pay bills. So where
That's right.
Do you think that, how do you draw the line or balance being what you consider to be responsible, but it's still life too?
So I think it starts with you really understanding what you need versus what you want. Because there are a lot of people, they'll tell you at the drop of a dime without even thinking about it. I need my coffee in the morning. How much that coffee cost you?
Right.
You getting it every day? And over a week's period, over a month's period, you know, how much are you spending? I was talking to Asha last night. I went, because every 90 days, I plan my finances out over a 90-day period, because that gives me time to look at stuff and move stuff around if I need to, etc. And I went in one time and I looked at my statement. So over a 30-day period, I spent $1,000 eating out.
$1,000? Wow.
Easy.
$1,000 eating out.
Easy.
Hurt your feelings, didn't it?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. I had the same situation when I was going through this credit class. It had I'm gonna call it a vice calculator, right? Where you put in whatever it is your main habitual activity is. You put in how much it costs and how frequently you do it. And so I did eating out because I get really lazy sometimes. I got 5 kids. Man, I don't want to feed all these people. So, we eat out quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I did the calculator for the year, and it was like $8,900. And I was like, hold on, but I still spend another $200 to $300 a week at the grocery store. You know, so I was like, we're going to have to reel some things on back, reel it on in. Because once you start to see the money from when you think about $8,900 plus another, who knows, $12,000 on groceries, that's somebody's salary, right?
Yeah.
The people that struggle or people that are check to check or struggling in this
you
economy.
You can
In
buy
this
a cash
economy,
kid with
right.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
So dealing with the cultural aspects of it, when we meet, we break bread and eat. That's kind of what we do, whether it's happy hour, Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, we eat. So you're talking about really dealing with a cultural mindset that you, back to your Jason, is that we have to really train our minds to move and think differently, right? Would you agree
You
with
have
that?
to.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, everything that you know and everything that you do, the way you operate, all of those are learned behaviors. You learned it from somewhere. And so the same way that you learned what we consider to be bad habits, you can learn good habits.
Yeah.
You just have to be willing to, get out there. You definitely want to have that discipline, like T. Will was saying, to put the work in. Because if you don't, you get the same thing out of it that you put into it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So there's this restaurant here in the Dallas area, and I'm sure you up there's plenty high-end restaurants. But if you have like 10 people or more, my daughter celebrated her birthday, and if I remember what she told me correctly, she had to put like a $2,000 deposit down, reserve space, and hopefully the people that are eating order enough food to cover that cost. But I'm thinking about birthdays are important to some people, especially in our community, right? But again, when you're talking about your purpose or your mindset is, conquering this credit challenge and money management tips, that's one of the things that it's a hard decision that you're going to have to make. Is like, I love celebrating my birthdays and celebrating the birthdays of others, but I can do it, but within limits.
And not only that, the thing is, what about after the birthday?
Right.
What
Life
you gonna
goes
do?
on.
You still got to eat after you went and spent $500 at whatever steakhouse you all went to. Tomorrow you're gonna have to eat again.
Yeah.
So
You better have leftovers.
you know, and I want to add to it too as well, because a lot of it too is, I think, just knowing your finances. Like, I don't know, I got this habit of just waking up looking at my bank account every day.
Every single day. I don't even get out the bed.
It's just a
I don't even
habit. I
get out
mean,
the
I
bed.
roll over and I look at that app. I hit that app and I look at my account, because I want to know that it's still there, for number one.
Yeah.
And number two, it just sets it puts me in that mindset of, man, I got this there. I have this money there, but I know I have to be financially sound and make sure, how do I get more of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really, like you said, G, it's a mindset that we have to get into about how important money is and how we manage that money that we have.
because like you all remember back in the late 80s, this song Johnny Kemp came out with a song, just got paid Friday night. Party hopping. Hey, that was a jam.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That's a mindset.
Yeah. And
That's
another
a
mindset too is when we're raising our kids, those are, if we're honest, those are the conversations that we don't have enough of. We tell people to be responsible, but what I've learned in my years in the military, like, if you're not outlining steps, like if you don't have a real plan with steps on what you're going to money and how you're going to spend it, and even where you're not going to spend it, like, you have to be that particular if you're serious of overcoming the challenge, right? And I know that you had some other things I want, before we run out of time, that you go to your next points that you want to make.
Well, no, I'm going to piggyback on what you said. You have to have, I don't call it a budget, I call it a spending plan. Because when somebody tells me about budget, I'll be like, ugh, you trying to tell me I can't spend my money? I don't like how that feels. And, and the thing of it is you have to have a spending plan. I mean, even if it's just something as simple, most people I know don't go to the grocery store without a budget. You don't go into the grocery store and say, however much I end up spending is just what I'm going to spend, and that's it. No, before you walk in there, you're so silly. Before you walk in there, you end up having this, number in your head, and you say, hey, this is all I'm spending in this grocery store. And so from there, you know what I'm saying? So always have this spending plan. I don't care how big or how small it is.
Yeah.
So we'll say financial success is an intentional lifestyle. It absolutely is. Sacrificing knowing what and how to invest to get more. So the conversations that you have play into that mindset. So if you think about, like I was saying earlier, what you're going to do with that next dollar, think about the conversations you have when you talk about money. Are you consistently talking about how broke you are, how you don't have it? Or are you having conversations about how you can utilize what you do have to create a position of growth and expansion, because you got to start somewhere. I don't know anybody that started at the top, but being able to have those conversations and being able to make those sacrifices and have that discipline where you can learn new things of how to better manage your money, it puts you in a much better position. It puts you in a much, much better position.
You know what, Gerard, to your point from before about raising children and teaching them money, a lot of times in our money management, a lot of times in our community, our parents, our grandparents didn't have money either. So they have not the knowledge to impart, right? Yeah. So that's why stuff like this is very important, because there are so many things about credit that you just aren't taught. And then you don't find out until after it's ruined. And you're right, ruined is the best word. So,
and you know what that teaches is, I call it a strategy for struggle. Like
Right.
everybody has a strategy for struggle. I mean, it's natural. You're built with it. Anything that you don't have, you find a way, and that's the strategy for struggle. And like you were saying, that our parents and our grandparents, a lot of them had struggles. So they taught us those same struggles. But if you want to do something different, it's so many ways to get out there and get the information and do it, but you got to be willing to put the work in.
Yeah.
That comment right there, what Ray just said.
Everything.
Let's go. Ray Brown says our people battle with becoming rich versus the pressure of looking rich. And I'll just start off by saying that absolutely when you turn on the TV, not just in our music, but just your TV shows, reality TVs, it's really the pressure is on, even if you don't have it, to act like you have it, right? It's designer everything to a point to where even people that have it and don't spend it, they're ridiculed and chastised and called cheap, and as if that's a bad thing because you're responsible with your money. So who wants to touch this one first? Second, after I just did it.
Well, I think Jeezy said it best. All this Fendi and Gucci is goofy. Like, it's not necessary. It's just not, and I'm not saying that you can't have nice things, but put those nice things in your spending plan so that you can afford them. Because being able to afford something means you can go and spend the money and you're not worried about it.
Yes.
If you worried about how much you're spending, you can't afford whatever it is you're spending on. Period.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I like to just add to, like, if it's gonna affect your bank account to where you got to worry about it, you probably don't need to spend it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like I like with my clients, like I get in their business and I tell them when we do a consultation, I'm not in your business, but I'm in your business. Reason why? Because I want to look at your whole financials before we even get to the lender, because I don't need my lender wasting time on your file. Man,
Right.
lenders have 10, 20 files that they reviewing all day. Guess what? If I can review your file and I can make sure that file is good to go before we get to underwrite, man, that's just gonna be a plus, a win-win situation for the whole process. You know what I mean? So to me, I stress that with my clients when we do a consultation to make sure, let's look at all your financials, because sometimes they might tell me, I don't have this. And so when we go through those financials, I say, okay, look at this. Look where you're spending this. And they're like, oh, I didn't even realize that. That's why we do this. So it brings it to light on what you're doing. And now you're aware of your spending, because a lot of people just, man, they don't stay on top of their finances because, like you said, day to day, they just spending.
Yeah. Another thing, T. Will, and you just now really, but when you're going through those finances and combing through them and seeing where the money has been allocated, we waste a lot on fees, whether it's credit card fees, overdraft fees, late fees. Man, it's like that's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and if people can just, part of managing your money is right better, helps you save and avoid those fees. There's everything is taxed. So we have Josh on, one of our finance guys. He talks a lot about the tax burden that we all have. And there's ways that you can reduce your tax liability, right? And that's for another show. But starting a business and being able to have a lot of those write-offs and doing your spending through your business, one way to do it. So, I mean, there are so many ways and considerations to take into account when you're trying to better your financial and credit situation, that I did it on my own for years. I did it wrong. I wasted a lot of time. I wasted a lot of money. And to Asha's point, again, that's why these shows are important. But we got to also deal with the issue of trust, right? And having those hard conversations. T. Will talked about looking at his bank account. I remember I didn't want to look at my bank account because I knew it was ugly, And you also got to look at that credit report, man. You need to look at all that, understand where you are, and just having the courage and the discipline to say, like, it's time to do something different. And man, that's my soapbox. So I'll jump off that one.
You're right, G. I mean, that's another story. So in the beginning, I believe everybody should be monitoring their credit, right? Because if you don't know what's on your credit score, how you gonna know what your overall credit report looks like? So
So how about we talk about what's in the credit report, and then we could start from there, right? Like, so outside of knowing you got a score between 300 and 850, what is in a credit score? What's that made up of? Where does it come from? And I'm gonna tell you what I've taken. I think I've taken 5 independent credit courses.
Yeah. Hey,
and every single one of them.
Hey, before we move to your segment, can we wrap Jay Shania's up and then segue in? I just want her, if she can, and go ahead real quick, wrap up, give us some do's that we need to do mindset.
Super quick. If you can change your mind, you can change your life. It really is that simple. Okay. Go over the last 30 days, get on your phone. If you got the bank app on your phone, you don't even have to wait for the statement to come to the house. See what's going out, see what's coming in, get a pen and a pad and just write it down so you know what days this is due and what days that's due. And that way you can get a better financial picture overall, and you'll be able to move forward and start taking those steps of when you grab your credit report. Now you know which way you should be going.
Man, get a plan and be this.
Get a plan.
And if you're in a ship and a family, you got to get them to buy in it too. It don't make sense for you to sit there and be making all these sacrifices that someone is backdooring and on all the work that you put in. So that's the other piece that I would say, to make that your family and people in your closest proximity that they buy into. You know, especially family. Now, people that's on the side, you know, that's your.
Outsiders don't get no favors.
But I know I got friends that I know that's trying to work on. Yeah, I'm mindful about in places and stuff like that, you know, because I know that they're trying to, you know, budget, you know, for certain reasons. So, but that'd be a good way. Asha, we can go ahead and segue into what you was talking about, the stuff that's on the credit report.
Right. Aspects of your score and what those aspects are. And then what you can do is take that knowledge and then try to operate within that so that you can build your score, right? So the number one thing, T-Will said this immediately, the number one thing on your credit score is your payment history. That is 35% of your score. So if you miss a payment by a day, again, you can knock your score 30, 40 points. That could be the difference between an approval and a rejection notice in the mail, right? So that's absolutely important. I cannot stress it enough that if you have revolving credit, something that reports to your credit, a car, a credit card, an installment loan, make sure that those payments are made a priority for you, because that's how you're going to build the biggest aspect of your credit report. Now, I also say that, and I know T-Will's going to add to this too, but I'm also going to say that if your payment is due on the 10th, I guarantee you pay on the 10th by the 12th, or 11th or 12th, they're going to add interest to your, to your balance. So based off your statement amount. So if you pay prior to your statement amount, then your overall balance goes down and it's less interest. Just a little tricky trick there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And just for the audience, hey, we appreciate the questions. Y'all keep the questions coming in. We're going to get to them here in a moment. But I did want to make sure we finish Asha's segment and then we'll start addressing the questions.
Oh, cool. So the next biggest thing on your credit score is 30%, and that is your debt utilization. So let me explain what that means. That is what you owe, right? So if you think about this, when you're talking about building your credit, 35% and 30%, 65%, that's the third quarter of the game. You over halfway there. You see what I'm saying? So it's super important that these two things are your number one priority when building and maintaining credit, is what you owe. So I like to call it a 30-30 rule. It's 30% of your score, and you need to keep your balances at 30% or below, right? So if you have $1,000 credit card, every month, if you're not paying that $1,000 back, you need to only have a balance of $300 roll over from month to month. The credit bureaus will look at that and say, you are utilizing too much credit and you're in too much debt, and it'll start to lower your score. So those two things are the number one two things that you need to do to try to keep and maintain your credit. So the next thing, it kind of jumps pretty big. It goes in half, and now it's like 15%. So 15% of your credit score is your credit history. And that means how long have you had open credit? What's your longest account? What is it? Time period? The longest time period of your longest account. I said that all wrong, but you know what I mean. What's the oldest account you have? So if you've got a credit card account or an installment loan or some, probably a credit card if it's revolving, but a revolving credit card you started in college, keep it open, don't close it. Closing it will actually do more bad to your score than keeping it open, even if it's obnoxious and old and you have a low limit. Make a charge on that card every 3 months or so and pay it back. But keeping that account open really helps your credit. The next thing is 10% of your score.
Oh no!
I think device
was that the genie?
I'm here. Am I still here with you guys?
We thought the credit genie done zap you.
Right.
She's
giving away too much information.
She's sharing too much.
Yeah. Cool.
I told you, if I tell you I'm at to kill you, they came after me.
Go ahead and pick up where you left off because you was freestyling.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so 10% is inquiries. So when you're a lender, you're saying, is she desperate? Like, how many times is she applying for things, right? So they want to know. I think it's desperate. Like, how desperate are you for credit, right? If you are in the market you really want to keep your inquiries down to like 3 a year, maybe 2. And if you're in the market for a house or a car and you're out shopping lenders, they have a rule there where you can shop for the same type of loan within so many days so that it doesn't negatively impact your score by having 10 or 15 credit pulls. Because if you go to multiple dealerships and you're not bringing your own financing, every dealership's going to do a hard pull on your credit to try to get you into one of their finance people, right?
So real quick, so that's the way to combat that then. I hate for us to move past that without addressing that. Mm-hmm. So if you are out shopping for whatever, it's important to do the same type of credit inquiry a certain amount of time. And
right, 14 days.
14 days. But you're also saying if you got a good relationship with your bank, let them finance and then use that to go out and shop instead of having all the different car dealerships look for someone.
Exactly.
The best way to go is to really walk in the door with your own money in hand. You already got your financing done when you walk in the door. Because regardless, even when you go to your bank, a lot of times they may have to kind of shop around a little bit to get you the best deal. But it beats you having to go out, like Asha was saying, and you end up going to these dealerships and they send it to like 40 lenders. If you walk in the door with your financing already intact, you're done. Because when I tell you it's super easy. I did it with the car I have right now. I got my financing and everything done. I found the car. I went to the dealership. They were talking. And I said, you can talk all you want. Here's my money. Give me the keys. And it took me about maybe an hour and I was out the door.
I did the same thing, Jason. I did the same thing. Look at us. Great minds.
Man, so I hope everybody take that tip and pointer and use it because it not only saves time, but it saves your credit from getting hit so many times too. Because those inquiries, how much can they affect your score negatively?
A lot. Again, the black box of information, but it could affect your score 20, 30 points for real.
Wow.
So it's only 10%. It's only 10% of the equation, right? Or the formula, but 10% can take you from A to a B if you walk, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's still impactful. And I'm going to tell you about the last 10% because this last 10%, it's not intuitive. It's one of those things that they throw in there and you think, what the hell? But it's your credit mix. So 10% of the formula for your credit score is your credit mix, which means what kind of credit do you have out there? Do you have revolving? Do you have installment loans? Do you have student loans? Do you have mortgage loans? They want to know. And I'm gonna tell y'all some personal shit. I mean, some personal stuff. I got denied for credit for something, and it told me the reason was because I'm 40 years old and I don't have a mortgage. I never wanted to buy before, so I never thought about it. But when I got my rejection letter, it straight up said because my credit mix. So that's something, again, that you don't think about, but it's actually quite impactful, 10% of your score. So,
yeah. So even when your credit, though, you're saying that each lender or financial company, they have their own rules that they can say in addition to what's the industry standard. We can add this requirement to, and it's legal.
Yeah, because if you think about it, if you've ever gone and, you know, applied for like a credit card, like say you pulled your credit, you know everything that's on it, you got your score, etc., and then you went and you applied for this card, and they'll tell you what your score is when they pulled your credit, and that number can be completely different from the number you had, and then you'll go and like apply for an auto loan. The credit score they have is a different number. Your credit is still the same, but these numbers are completely different because of what type of credit you're getting. And they don't tend to tell you, like Asha was saying, it's like one of those things where it's just like this, you know, black hole of information. Where you
and there's also multiple scores. There's a FICO score, there's a Vantage score. Lenders have a different score, you know, to Jason and I's point. So it's a hot mess. All you can do is try to maneuver through credit as much as you can figure out, right? If you know these top 5 things that are in your score that make up, if you can say what I can control, right? I can't control I can't control that they won't give me credit because I don't have a mortgage until I get a mortgage, right? But I can control my payment history. I can control my inquiries. I can control my debt utilization, how much I owe. I can control those things. You know what I mean? I can control not closing any more cards. I mean, that's 90% of the game right there. So so that's kind of like credit 101. Credit 101 for you.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of good information, and we'll recap a lot of this off. But I want us to take a moment to hit some of these questions and make sure that we're addressing these. So here's one from one of my childhood friends. He says, "Get him, Junior." It's my boy, man. I appreciate you tuning in, Junior.
Get him, Junior.
Business
credit.
Get him. T-Will, can you take this one?
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. Man, I'm gonna tell you, man. Business credit is I'm still learning business credit. I feel like personal, I got down. I'm not, you know, I know it very well. I know what